Alright everybody, as promised, here we go again with another Dark Souls 3 video looking at the Executioner's Greatsword. Somebody did request this, and I said in my previous video that we were going to take a look at this sword and see how effective it could be. Now, you know how we do things. We like to get summoned to at least one fight club. Fortunately, with this one, we were summoned to a fight club, for the first summon using this weapon, and you're going to see just how effective great swords can be. Now, this sword is unique. It's not like every other great sword. It does have some unique properties. One thing we do love about From Software is when they do make weapons, instead of just having several different great swords, all of which do the same thing, they usually add some unique properties. While it might not be so apparent with this one, as I mentioned in the opening clip, this weapon does deal strike damage, which is kind of unique for a great sword. And if you guys know anything about the different damage types in this game, if you've looked at armor in depth, you would have noticed that most armor doesn't have that much defense against strike. It's usually the heavy armor that has it, and even then, it's not nearly as much as the slash and thrusting defense. So you have a little bit of an advantage with enemies not having the best defense against strike, which means that of your 507 points of damage at plus 10 with this weapon, which is what you deal at 40 strength and 40 dexterity, you'll likely end up getting through with a few bit more damage points than usual. Now, whether that does make a significant difference when comparing it to a weapon like another great sword, like the Black Knight Greatsword, for example, or is it just the Black Knight sword? The Greatsword version of the Black Knight sword. Basically, that weapon does 542, but I do believe it's standard damage. So, it leaves a little bit to be desired on the damage front, but because it does deal strike damage, it can be quite unique. Now, you saw his dispatch of the first guy. I think he gave up when he healed himself, and, I guess he just decided not to carry on after we got the backstab on him. But this game, the shimmy step, as I like to call it, still works. You can, if an enemy is strafing one way and you're strafing the other way and you get behind them, you can initiate the R1 and likely get a backstab unless they roll or something like that. So if you see somebody trying to do that like sidestep on you, just be ready to roll, otherwise you're going to get backstabbed. So we've dispatched of 2 people already, and here we're going up against a spear. Again, utilizing general greatsword, general game mechanics and physics knowledge of understanding how trades work in this game. We know we can approach him, and if he's starting up his attack and we start up ours, if our hyper armor activates, which usually it should, we'll come out on top. Now, we do make a few mistakes against this spear, rolling in on it a few times by accident, trying to anticipate him attacking instead of reacting. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. Again, rolling into him with the straight sword. This guy was being a little bit overly aggressive. I wasn't so used to people being aggressive, so I had to kind of adjust my playstyle just a little bit. But we still come out on top here. Again, making the same mistakes over and over again. But there you can see we're starting to contest him now when we roll in with our R1 attack. So if he does end up attacking, at least we'll attack through with our rolling R1 and combo him off. So we know he kind of wants to parry, and that's, I think, what I was trying to bait at, which is why I was rolling in so much. But again, it's just not a smart thing to do. So this match, we kind of got a little lucky, but we played stupid. We could have played a lot smarter. Just react, roll, approach him, react, roll. But I think what I was because it's been a while. I've been playing Call of Duty for the double XP weekend. It's been a little bit since I was on Dark Souls 3. And, he was the first guy with a parrying shield. So I was trying to bait out the parries and stuff, but he wasn't parrying. So, yeah. But we still came out on top on that one. Have to use 3 Estus, unfortunately. But that is the third match that we won. Now, continuing on with this weapon, it does have a unique weapon art in that it's one of the... I think it actually is the only greatsword. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only greatsword that has a stomp. Somehow got hit by the black flame there, but whatever. Luckily hit this guy out of his sacred flame, and then we catch him, I think, like 3 times in a row here. Look at that. Bam. So good sometimes with the roll catching, even though it doesn't look like you're going to hit them. But there, I don't know what he was trying to do there. We're going to attack through and force the trade and come out on top anyway. So, yeah. But like I said, this weapon, one of the only weapons that, or one of the only great swords I think that has the stomp, and it follows up with a 360-degree swing. Now, I don't use it all too much, just in the neutral game, as I like to call it, right, where me and my opponent are kind of, trying to feel each other out, move in, move out of each other's hitbox area. That's what I call the neutral game. So this right here, when we're just kind of spacing each other out, playing footsie, so to speak, right? Trying to find the proper spacing for us to attack. This is not where you want to whip out a weapon art or whip out something that's going to be easily punished, which is why I don't really utilize a lot of R2s. R2s, they're very circumstantial, and you can say whatever you want. You can call me, oh, you only use R1 and R1 spammer. That's fine. I'm proving how effective knowing mechanics and understanding how to play the neutral game is. I've mentioned it countless times. and I'm not going to go over it again. If you want to hear about it, watch any of my other videos, but the spacing is very, very important. And right there with that backstab, you see an example of what I mentioned earlier with the shimmy step, and that is where I actually wanted to follow up with the weapon art. So when I actually get a knockdown, or if the opponent's kind of stuck in like a long animation and I dodge it, that's where you might want to whip out the weapon art to kind of maybe catch a roll or something. However, I'm not too sure how the mechanics of the weapon art works. I don't know if enemies roll, they end up rolling underneath it or something, and you don't end up hitting them. But you would think that it would be a really good tool to catch rollaways and punish rolls. But out of all the times we used it, and we do use it a few times, we did miss, I think, all of them. I don't think we landed the weapon art once. I mean, technically, if you see an enemy running at you like that guy just did there, you could try to whip it out and see if it's going to be effective. But again, why would you do that when you can just follow up with 2 R1s, right? Just do an R1. If you end up trading with your opponent, your hyper armor is going to come out usually, unless they're using a Greatsword, or an Ultra Greatsword, sorry. And even if they are, your weapon still comes out faster because it is, the medium tier weapon. So, the Greatsword does have advantages. I mentioned this before in fighting really aggressive opponents, fast weapons like that. The Greatsword definitely has a great advantage. Right there, I misspaced my R1 and got rightfully punished for it with the scythe. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more careful than just, trying to anticipate enemies running in at you and attacking. Sometimes enemies want to wait for you to attack and react, and if they see you make that mistake, then they're going to follow up with their attack, which lunges them forward and puts you inside their hitbox range. So you got to be careful with that. But overall, like I mentioned before, just the standard R1 combo is going to deal a lot of damage. There you can see I did the reverse thing of what happened to me. He misspaced his attack thinking I was going to keep on approaching him. He whiffed. I followed up punishing the recovery time on his Pontiff Scythe. Or not Pontiff, that's a Corvian Scythe, right? I think. On his Corvian Scythe, and because my character lunges forward with the R1, just like every character does, we were able to connect with 2 hits, deal a ton of damage to him there. Now, you got to be a little bit careful when you fight enemies because great swords, they are parryable. So try to be wary if an enemy does have a parrying weapon in their offhand. If you see them going for a lot of charged R2s, don't think that you can go in and punish them right away because they likely are doing that to bait you out to attack them, and they want to follow up with an easy punish. In this next matchup, I think we're going up against a guy with the washing pole. So for all you people who still complain that the running attack from the washing pole is overpowered, you're going to see that it really isn't. Just another example of why you can easily beat these things. They're not really as broken as people say they are. So again, just anticipate it. You can roll away. I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, you can see here, like he has to really pick his spots to attack, but we can still be fairly aggressive. There, chase down the roll. That's usually what I like to do as well. I like to wait for people to roll and then keep approaching them and then attack. Again, using the hyper armor of our weapon to our advantage, right? Going through his weapon art and dealing 2 massive hits for the combo. Miss there. The tracking on the vertical R1 sometimes doesn't work out all that well to catch rolls. So I mentioned this before, but I like weapons that have diagonal slashes rather than vertical ones. And right there, we punished the weapon art from his katana. Now, I think that guy only did like 2 or 3 R1s, but generally, if you see them at a distance, at medium range, it's hard to punish. Don't get me wrong. We're likely going to get hit from a running R1 from a katana. But at longer ranges, if you see them running at you, just whip out the R1. The hyper armor will combo through the running R1 attack, and you'll come out with 2 hits where your enemy just gets 1 quick poke on you. So it's really, really effective. Right here, going up against an ultra weapon, we rightfully got punished going for our attack. And our attack did come out, but with an ultra weapon, if he's doing his R1 combo is going to deal way more damage than our rolling R1, which can only hit once and can't combo. So you got to be a little bit more careful when you go up against ultra weapons. Now, you could just play the baiting game, just run around them, bait out their attacks. I don't know, maybe my reactions weren't on point this morning. I'm too used to playing Call of Duty. I was playing it all last night, and I do apologize. But this is, I think, the final match. I think this is the 9th match in this fight club that we fought because we're down to 1 green blossom now. And I have no more Estus, so after this fight, I actually end up going home. But again, you can just see the effectiveness of Greatswords. And even though we're at a significant life deficit, we knew that he wasted all his stamina trying to whip out all those R1s. So we're going in on him. And then again, we have the advantage now with the life lead. We can probably take a 2-hit combo and survive because 1 hit won't necessarily kill us, but the 2nd hit will likely activate our Tears of Denial. So I know I can survive 1 more combo, and I only need to hit him once. So I'm trying to just fish out some, you know, quick and easy baits with the throwing knife. Maybe throw a knife at him and then see if he comes in to attack me, and I can follow up with my R1, because at this point a trade would benefit me. As you can see, my health is slightly going up from the recovery items that I have equipped. Right there is where I should have utilized the R1, but I kept throwing knives for some stupid reason. And he ended up coming in on us and hitting us when we missed our R1. But he tried to do the same thing against us, use the throwing knives, but we ended up comboing him out of it with our sword. So that is the video, guys. We end up going home, but, you know, 9 matches in a fight club, not too bad. I could have kept going, but unfortunately I only had 1 Estus left, which means I would have had to wait around to recover Estus, which I don't really want to do, so I just went home. But let me know what you think of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please drop a like if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Lots of great Dark Souls content. You can always check it out for more Dark Souls content as well, and videos, PvP, analysis of different weapons, etc., etc. But again, love you guys. Thank you so much. Quantum is out.